Hey guys, Bowie here, and this is how to survive the laning phase as a carry in 7.19. Before we start, I want to explain how this video is made. Every single replay feature here comes from 6.5k plus games, where I selected the most popular carries that those high MMR players utilize when they play safe lane, and obviously I selected the games where they won. This video is not an easy task, not only because every lane is different, but because some of the popular heroes are lane dominators and some of them are not. In this dual lane meta, you can also end up in awful scenarios that I might not be able to cover in such a short video. Still, every single trick and aspect of the game I mentioned here can and probably will be useful to you at some point. The first thing I think needs to be addressed is range creeps. If you play mid a lot, you probably already understand how important they are, but in dual lanes, I feel like range creep denies are even more important. When aggressive dual lanes get level 2 before your defensive one, you risk dying way more than probably at any point in the game. And the biggest factor determining who's getting level 2 first is securing range CS and denying your own. Because of that, it's way more common to see melee carries leaving the base with Quelling Blade right off the bat, something that was frowned upon before. Against dual lanes, you will rarely have quick access to the side shop, meaning that having the item, especially in heroes that don't actually have skills to get the range creep, might be the difference maker between securing the range CS or the enemy denying it from you. In this clip from Illidan, for instance, even though he's very low HP, he contests the two bulky melee heroes that are trying to get the deny, and he gets it just because of the Quelling Blade and the fast attack animation. Spending mana early on, like using your level 1 skills, was also something you would rarely see, since you wanted to save that mana to get kills at around level 3 and upwards. That's rarely the case anymore. Even heroes like Spectre with very low mana pools will not hesitate to commit Spectral Dagger to get a range CS and sometimes even melee CS. If you can harass the enemy at the same time, that's just even better. In that same lane, Illidan made sure to use Spectral Dagger on every range creep until he had no mana so that he gets level 2 before the Pango. You can see that the creep equilibrium in general is not the focus anymore in those lanes. Against those dual lanes, the only way to less hit without putting yourself in danger is to draw aggro constantly, and by doing that, you're going to naturally push the wave because the enemy is usually trading with your support instead of doing the same. While you lose creep equilibrium, you do get the level advantage that might make the enemy less inclined or even unable to dive you and get kills early on. In every single game to this point that I showed you, the safe lane gets level 2 before the off lane, and while you give them the opportunity to CS under tower, you deny them the opportunity to use their level 2 power spike while you are a level 1 carry. In this Resolution Terror Blade game, you can see how he's constantly drawing aggro from the start, but the constant fighting doesn't allow him to deny his range creep CS because he's forced to trade and thus the creeps attacking the range creep de-aggro. While that might be a problem to the standard notion of what we know about carries, Reso was able to CS taking very minor damage by drawing aggro, and he's almost level 2 in a tri-lane against the enemy dual lane, which is pretty good. They eventually get level 2, but slightly after Resolution, and now with Reflection, he's a way harder kill for the Dire. Getting level 2 is so important, in fact, that even a hero like Ursa with 44 base damage and no Quelling Blade in this game gives up on Fury Swipes to get Earthshock level 1 in this game. Not only he's against your range heroes, level 1 Pugna can use the Crepify in a way that Ursa will never get any range CS and thus Dire will deny it. You can also see that Gorgc learns Earthshock as a reaction to learning that Pugna got the Crepify level 1. While he was in no position to deny his own range creeps, at least he avoids the enemy one being denied, putting his lane in equal footing with the enemy one, which is very important. In this Resolution PL game, you can see the importance of the range creep clearly. Reso has mana for only one Spirit Lance, meaning that if he uses one now, Dire could potentially dive him and he wouldn't have the slow to get away. Even then, he knows that if they get the deny, he's going to be level 1 and Dire will be level 2, and then they can use the Clap plus Drunken Haste plus Arctic Burn plus Planar Blast and either harass him quite a bit or kill him. He has no mana for the Lance now, but he has level 2, and if we go back, you can see that the support Wyvern would rather get the range CS himself rather than harass the safe laner. That range creep gives Brew level 2, equalizing things in lane for now. Hope this was enough to make you understand how important those range creeps are, especially in the transition from level 1 to level 2. Another thing to talk about is item purchases after the laning stage started. In 5 out of 10 games, the stick was purchased in the first 2 minutes of the game, and in 7 out of 10 games, in the first 5 minutes. You're obviously not getting a stick versus a Pudge plus Tiny lane, but if you're against a Pugna's Scarif mage, that makes a lot of sense. Regen is something we didn't touch upon a lot, but the average amount of regen that players purchased during the first 10 minutes, including the initial items, was 4. 4, so usually 3 tangos and 1 self. If we take the Bloodseeker out of the equation, a hero with a lot of sustain though, the number jumps to almost 5 regen items in the first 10 minutes. Making sure you can stay in lane and protect your tower until the offlaner rotates or you're ready to jungle or rotate, while your support then leeches experience from that lane is important, because if you just die 3 times, not only your jungling will be beyond suboptimal since you're gonna be underleveled, your offlaner will be ways ahead in experience, meaning that he can threaten your support and your tower. There are also heroes that can never leave the lane to jungle at least until level 10, like Spectre. So you need to be sustainable and you should not be greedy. PL can jungle relatively okay at level 6 and Terrorblade usually at level 5, but in general, you do not want to leave your lane unless it's a very grim situation. For instance, in the Spycat game, where he starts jungling, he tried a bunch of different things before feeling forced to do it. He tried to pull, since Bane was occupied trading with Enchantress, although Bane himself actually stops the pull. Since he was against Enchantress plus Spudge, it's very dangerous for him to get CS, especially when the lane is pushing, because he can get hooked into the enemy tier 1 tower. So the pull was a means to make him farm close to the tower, even if the creep equilibrium stays there very little, while also farming some of those jungle creeps. After all of that, 2 deaths in a row, he goes back to the lane still, because this is Catapult Wave. He knows it's dangerous, but protecting the tower and avoiding the scenario where 2 towers fall in 7 minutes is super important in games like this. As soon as he defends the lane though, he starts jungling and Bane is the responsible for the tier 1 tower. The way I phrased the last couple of seconds, you might think that you either get even in your lane or you jungle, but there are other alternatives for when you're feeling pressured or straight up losing your lane. Obviously, they depend highly on which hero you're playing. There's way more opportunities for you to jungle as a Terrorblade and to rotate, although it is possible. In this Gorgc game, for instance, he was not having the time of his life by any means. Also, without boots, Ursa is probably one of the worst rotating heroes ever, but by waiting for his own creep wave to die, while he salves and waits for this range creep to die, he's able to infiltrate the dire side of the map thanks to nighttime, getting a kill on the X and a better lane for himself. It obviously doesn't last that long, since Pugna can TP there, so what he does is change lanes with Zeus. Before level 6, PL is a way easier matchup for the Ursa than Pugna, and with a quick move around the map and some communication, he finally gets a better lane for himself. Besides rotating, leeching experience in hard lanes is also something underrated. People get anxious and mad that they cannot hit creeps, and with a hero like Bloodseeker, you would think that jungling is easy peasy. Yet in this particular scenario, not only Excalibur sees the Catapult Wave coming, he's against a Pudge. Wait a minute, Bowie, in the last game where Pycat started jungling, he was against a Pudge as well. Yes, he was, but he started jungling as daytime came, so it's way easier for him to get vision of the Pudge, since he can even scout the high ground with his Dying Illusions. Going back to Excalibur, Pudge and Oracle gank his CM, jungling this side of the map is just asking for him to get killed, and jungling the other side of the map means you're giving your tower up. Excalibur though just hides around the trees and tries his best to destroy the wave as fast as possible without showing, so that his tower takes the least amount of damage. But he never approaches the creep wave, and that's important since Pudge was not shown. Only when Oracle shows mid he dares actually drawing aggro, not actually going towards the creeps, to less hit closer to his tower. What most people fail to realize is that jungling only gives you a slight gold advantage over leeching experience like this, because even if the enemy is denying creeps, you're probably getting more experience per minute than if you were jungling with a level 4 hero. Some heroes like Terrorblade don't care that much about level 6, so they just care about getting items and scaling, whereas Bloodseeker knows he can have an impact in the game by getting Rupture, so staying in a lane like this is definitely the better choice. Another thing to mention in this video is that although its title is how to survive the laning phase, most carries nowadays, even the greedy ones, like Spectre, need to create an impact somehow, and understanding when that power spike comes is very important. It's not always beautiful, especially because in this meta of dual lanes, pretty much everyone besides the position 5 gets more out of the lane than you, the carry. Bloodseeker's first real power spike is his level 6, but in this game, since it has no Aquila and treads and Enchi is super farmed, he dies trying to use it. Maybe a better use of the ult would be rotating to another lane, so it's up to you to not only know the power spike, but also what's the best use you can fight for the ult. While Spectre is a greedy hero, she also has a great level 6 power spike that we can see being used here. You don't have to ult the first time you got level 6, but you need to be very aware of the surroundings so you can use it effectively as fast as possible, since the level 1 cooldown is huge on Haunt. Another reason TP Ruptures or Haunts are great is that you move away from the lane where the offlaner is probably also on his power spike. With this dual lane meta, you're all at around level 6 at the same time, meaning that if you rotate first, not only you get a kill when your cooldown going, you will always be able to know when the offlaner rotates if you keep eyes on the minimap. When we're talking Ursa, his real power spike is the blink dagger timing. In that Gorgc game, where his laning stage was awful, he rotated, but that was more luck than anything. HFN on the other hand had a great laning stage since the enemy had a centaur. With a 9-minute blink dagger, he rotates to the mid lane, but knowing that centaur has ult, look how he plays it out. He waits for his disruptor to be there, and as long as the glimpse comes through, they're fine and they actually kill the troll. PL and Terrorblade are clearly heroes that come online later into the game, but that doesn't mean you cannot generate impact, although it does require some skill. In this Resolution game, he knows that Brewmaster doesn't have split, and as the creeps approach, note how he doesn't right-click them to not proc the Phantom Rush. As Brew closes the gap, he actually gets away with the Phantom Rush he saved, and with beautiful micro, he makes Dire believe that the real PL is an illusion, which means that the Clap and Splinter Blast were not spent on him. Knowing that those cooldowns were wasted, he can commit another Phantom Rush, this time onto the Pudge, securing himself a kill. As you can see, it doesn't end with a dead Pudge, showcasing that while this hero has trouble actually hunting heroes before Diffusal Blade, he can definitely be a problem if you know how to use it. Terrorblade is slightly similar. He has a tough time creating space by himself, but in this Pycat game, even though he had it tough earlier on, thanks to Bane being nicely positioned, he can rotate not only to get a kill, but later get objectives. This hero, when he finds a kill like this, can quickly get a tower, and these types of play can definitely help you bounce back into games, even when you're not very farmed in comparison to the enemy core. Metamorphosis is a long cooldown for a reason. As you guys know, I'm stepping away from the daily content and list before TI for a multitude of reasons, making videos for my TI sponsor, trying to grind MMR. In fact, I'm trying to reach Immortal before TI, and I would love if you guys would drop by the stream anytime soon. As you know, I don't have the revenue from those YouTube videos anymore, so it would be awesome to have you guys there. And if you guys care about my life or some dank memes, follow me on Twitter. If you want to see me cast or play, Twitch is the place to go. If you care about food or my life or just random things, I do use my Instagram from time to time, and I will definitely use it quite a bit on TI, so I definitely recommend you guys to follow me there. And that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed yourselves. Bye.